Welcome to Confessions of a Stenographer, where we are focusing on all things steno and the legal profession. Thanks for tuning in. I am your co-host, Kristine Utley. I just celebrated my 3rd anniversary of being a freelance certified shorthand reporter in the great state of Texas. I live about 30 minutes south of Dallas in Waxahachie with my adorable kittens, Thor and T'Challa. As a freelancer, I take depositions in different civil cases every day. One day it could be a plaintiff in a slip and fall case, or an engineering expert regarding metallurgical testing, or an eyewitness to a car crash. It's something different every day, and I love it. Today I will be interviewing Kim Xavier. This month we are celebrating Black History Month, and it's important to showcase our legends in our profession. I met our star, Kim Xavier, years ago at a networking event, and her inspiring energy just pulled me in. Her drive to continually be a better stenographer and her passion for helping future reporters make it to the other side really spoke to me. She's been there for me in so many ways over the years, and I know her encouragement played a major role in where I am today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim Xavier. Hi, Kim. Welcome to the podcast. Are you ready to confess?
Hey, Kristine. I guess I may as well.
All right, let's get into your background. Tell us about Kim Xavier. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born and raised in a small town in East Texas called Center, Texas, Center. And it's a town of about 5,000 people. And we didn't even have a McDonald's until I was in 11th grade in high school or so. And my mom and dad were actually born and raised there as well. And most of my family still lives there to this day, or in close proximity to there at least.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you get into stenography? Did you have a dream job or a career prior to steno?
You know, my dream job was to be a secretary. I wanted some administrative work. I wanted something that was inside work. And that was very attractive to me because my mom worked nights at the local chicken plant. And for most of my life, I can remember ironing her clothes because my mama went to work real sharp. So I'd iron her clothes while she was napping before she was getting ready to go to work. And I could smell the chicken fat or the raw chicken scent coming out of the clothes. It was like we could never get that scent out of the clothes. And I just remember saying to myself, I don't ever want to work at that plant. And so from the time I was in 7th or 8th grade or so, I pretty much figured out our finances, and I knew college wasn't in the cards for me financially. And from that young age, I knew that it was going to be the military for me if I wanted to make it out of that town. And it was through a roommate in the military that I actually first heard the word court reporter. And so I always attribute all of that just to, God working his magic and putting people where they need to be when they need to be there.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your service. And I want to tell me about your military experience. How long did you serve?
6 years. I could probably tell you the number of days and months. I'm always a little uncomfortable when somebody says thank you, because for me, serving was really just a matter of having something to get me out of that small town. Now, we're here, it's confessions, right? So I'm going to just tell you the truth. I think probably the majority of armed forces, young people in the armed forces, that's probably what got them there, is that they're trying to get away from something or out of some type of situation. And so I always say you're welcome when someone says thank you for serving, but I am just a little bit uncomfortable with it because of that. So back then, my young self, I chose the Air Force. And the reason I chose it was it seemed logical to me then, but it seems a little crazy right now. I couldn't swim, and I was definitely afraid of large bodies of water well into my adulthood. So the Navy was out. Plus, they wore white. I knew that was not going to work for me. The Army, they ran too much. I've never really enjoyed overexerting myself. Now, I'll break a sweat, but I don't like to get, too crazy with it. And then the Marines, they just seemed really scary to me. Just the word Marine always made me, gave me a little shiver and a little pause. And I still associated them with water too. So it was Air Force for me. So about a month and a half after graduation, I found myself in basic training. And I still remember to this day, I was picking up poop and cigarette butts on my birthday, on my 18th birthday. And I've never been a smoker, and I never understood, why do I have to pick up the cigarette butts? And I'm not even a smoker. I remember just being so upset that particular day, and I still hold a grudge against the powers that be for that. So I remember basic training being the longest 6 weeks of my life at that point, anyway. But I made it through, and after basic training, some kind of way, I managed to get stationed in Abilene, Texas. Even though I was from Texas and I was trying to get out of Texas, that was nowhere on what we call our dream sheet. This little form we fill out saying, where do you want to go? You know, they ask us, where do you want to go? And, you know, we're all hopeful that we're actually going to get to go where we want to go. But I ended up in Abilene, Texas for 2 or 3 years or so. I was stationed in supply, which my recruiter told me the job I had was an administrative job. Remember, I'm trying to get behind a desk, you know, and have inside work. And it was not an administrative job. I worked in the warehouse section of supply. And I was, as I said, I was there 2 or 3 years because Abilene was not a sought after duty station. I still don't know why, but it just wasn't a sought after place that people wanted to come to. And when you get stationed there, people tend to stay there like for 10 years, 12 years, you know, some people in their careers there. And so the only way out of there is to put in orders to go overseas. So I ended up going to Korea for a year. That's where I met my husband. And after that, I ended up stationed in Austin, Texas, which is where I actually started court reporting school after I decided to separate from the military.
Wow.
Right?
I'm amazed, but I'm glad you made it back here to Texas to start court reporting school. Now we are now celebrating Black History Month. Why is it important to celebrate our history?
Well, you know, it's a part of history, period. I've never understood why we have this this kind of silence about this month. Like there's sometimes people feel some kind of way because Black people celebrate this month. And the be all and end all of it is that the contributions of African Americans aren't being taught in schools at all. Or if they are, it's a major accomplishment for a school to get that curriculum put in. And many of the luxuries and the comforts that we enjoy today, every person enjoys today, are because of people of African descent. So I've just never understood why we're not hearing more about these things and why these accomplishments of Black people are not being celebrated the same as, you know, the Abraham Lincolns and the George Washingtons, just anybody else in history, in U.S. history. But, you know, it is what it is. So we boldly celebrate Black History Month because that is the only way to get the truth heard and acknowledged.
Preach. Now about certification. How important is certification?
So this is going to be totally a personal opinion because I'm that chick that I like to improve me, and I'm going to focus on whatever can help me to improve me. But I think that certifications are everything in our industry. If you're looking for self-improvement, professional improvement. But like I said, that's just me, and I think it's how I gauge my own personal and professional growth. You know, for Kim Xavier, it's something I can look at and see that, okay, you were better than you were yesterday. But I really think it depends on what you want out of your own career, out of your life. And, you know, it depends on, of course, the requirements of the state you're living in. So the first and most important certification is always going to be that one that allows you to work and make your highest income, you know, reach your highest income potential for wherever you live. So anything after that, that's just gravy. But I always tell people to put themselves 10 years down the line. And if there's something that one of those certifications can help you with, even possibly help you with at that 10-year goal, then you should start working on it right now. Because time marches on and the years fly by, almost seems like in the blink of an eye these days. And I can tell you, I thank my past self all the time for having had enough pride in myself, enough pride in my skill and my profession to push myself to get those advanced certifications. Not one of them has hurt me. Not one of them has hurt my career, but they've all helped me to grow personally and professionally. And I can honestly say that I have, at this point, I have not had to interview for a job for many, many years. My resume has spoken for me before I even open my mouth.
Now, you spoke on those advanced certifications. I know you have a million letters behind your name, the whole alphabet. Tell us what those certifications are that you've obtained throughout your career.
Ooh, okay. The first one, I will say this. I went to school in Texas, and we do have a state certification, the Texas CSR, and that was the first certification exam I ever took. Didn't pass it the first time. So my first certification that I obtained would be my RPR from NCRA. And it was after that that I went back and got my Texas CSR. And then I went back and to NCRA and got my RMR, my CRR. I wonder if I should be saying the words or should I just be saying the letters? Registered professional reporter, registered merit reporter, certified real-time reporter. I hold a Texas CART certification, certified real-time captioner, certified manager of reporting services, certified reporting instructor, registered diplomat reporter. And I think that's it. I think. I didn't write them down, so I think that's it.
I mean, are there any more to get? Goodness, but we applaud you. You are amazing for having all those. Now, I can understand this one from personal experience. For those that deal with test anxiety, do you have any tips or suggestions you can offer to get them over that hump?
Now, this is a hard one because I've been struggling with trying to encourage students and inspire them for many, many, many years. And every student is different. So I'd have to say the main thing is just going to be fully prepared when you go to take the exam. I mean, I've taken a lot of exams. I've failed a lot of exams, but I've also not been prepared for a lot of those exams. And it makes a big difference when you're prepared, when you're confident, when you're trusting the process. And you can, I think once you're fully confident that you've done all that you can do, that's when you will be able to relax and sit into it and just, it's just another, day of writing rather than it's a test. But most importantly, you have got to turn the test in. I don't know how many times we have to say that. You have got to turn the test in. There's probably millions of past tests in a garbage can somewhere because people feel like, oh, I didn't do well on that one. I'm not going to type it up. I'm not going to transcribe it. That's the biggest mistake you can make because until you transcribe it, that's when you give yourself the chance to pass it. If you're not turning anything in, you're not giving yourself a chance. And you can't count errors while you're writing. That is totally impossible. And I say that because I finally earned a real-time championship a few years ago. But it took years and years and years. And the one that I earned, and I say earned, not won, because you actually work for it. Nobody gives it to you. The one that I earned, I wasn't going to turn it in. And the only thing that made me turn it in was because I always fuss at students to turn your paper in. And that's why I turned that paper in. And lo and behold, it was the one that got me the championship.
Isn't that just amazing?
I'm telling you.
Tell us about your work life. I know you're an official, but I know you were a freelancer before that. Why did you transition from freelancer to official?
Well, when I first started freelancing, I actually started in the state of Florida. And I think I mentioned that I didn't pass that first Texas CSR exam. And at that point, it wasn't all that important to me because I knew I was moving to Florida. And Florida did not have a certification exam. And I ended up working at a firm of about 40 or 45 reporters, very large firm in Miami. But it was always just a stop on the journey for me. I always saw myself in the courtroom and I was always upfront with every single employer that I worked for every single freelance employee that I worked for. And matter of fact, my first full-time position as an official reporter came about because my firm owner told me about a judge who was possibly looking for an official reporter. And that morphed into a full-time position for me. And the reason that I went from freelance to official really was just I never enjoyed the not knowing of it all. I didn't enjoy waiting until 3 to get my first to know if I was going to have a job the next day. I didn't enjoy my checks being a different amount every month. And that's probably because of the military background. You know, we got paid on certain days. We got paid an exact amount, and I think I was still in that mode. And so that it didn't sit well with me. And so I never really just kind of I didn't get the enjoyment out of it that I see a lot of people getting now. Of course, times have changed, and it might be different for me if I were a young person going into it now. But when I look back on it, that's really the reason I was so intent on getting an officialship, is because that's just where I saw myself.
Now that makes sense. Now, besides that guaranteed check, what are the other benefits of being an official?
Well, looking down the road 10 years, I have to say it's the medical and retirement benefits. And again, that probably for me kind of was attractive to me because of the military background. You know, when I went into the military, I went in thinking I'm going to do this for 20 years and I'm going to retire and I'm going to, you know, be able to have a retirement check. Even though when you're young, you don't really think of those things. But as time marches on and you get a little bit older, you know, you start to look at things a little bit differently as you meet different people and you start exposing yourself to different people and talking about different things. And so as a veteran reporter right now, I'm extremely grateful that, you know, I have medical and that I'm building a nice retirement pretty much effortlessly. And I like that about it. And I love that when you work in court full time, you have a little family. You see the same people every day. They're like you know, you might have a court husband, a court wife, you know, a court sister, you know, a court mom. You're a big family. You still get business done, but the whole family dynamic of it was really attractive to me.
Now, do you miss any parts of freelancing?
I'd have to say I miss being able to set my own schedule and not feel guilty about it. Like, if I know that if you don't work, you don't eat. But when you're good at what you do, you can take 2 or 3 jobs a week and still eat for the month. You know what I mean? And so I think I miss that about it. That when it's cold, like it is today, I miss, you know, knowing that today it's cold and I know tomorrow's going to be cold and being able to say, I don't think I want to work tomorrow. I'd love to be able to do that.
I understand. What is work life as an official for you like during this pandemic?
Well, it hasn't changed a whole lot for me as far as how we handle our proceedings. The judge and I still go into the courtroom. I'm in a criminal court, and so we're not set up for us to do virtual with defendants being in a different place. So the judge, myself, and the defendants are usually in the courtroom. And we kind of have a hybrid system available for our attorneys and our witnesses. They can appear in person or they can appear via Teams, which is like Zoom. And probably the biggest change that I've seen is the workload. We have very little that we are on the record for right now. And so, you know, I'm used to writing every day, either a half a day or all day. And so now it's like, you know, I might write 30 pages in a day. And so that's very, very rare.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a quick commercial break.
Hi, my name's Christopher Day. I've been a court reporter for 11 years. I've seen how easy it is for our profession to get buried by lots of misconceptions in the media. That's one of the reasons I started Stenonymous.com, a blog all about court reporting and related issues. For example, maybe you saw in the news that court reporters were only 80% accurate when tested on a specific English dialect. Readers of my blog know that 80% is actually twice as good as the average person and up to 4 times as good as automatic speech recognition. With no dialect training, we're the best. With dialect training, we're unstoppable. The news wouldn't report that, so I did. If you want honest reporting of industry events, topics, and opinions, check out stenonymous.com or search Christopher Day blog on the web. You can subscribe, share stories, or even approach me about becoming a guest writer. Now, let's get you back to Confessions of a Stenographer.
Now let's talk about getting involved. Please share with our listeners why it is so important to get involved and serve on a state and national level.
Oh, wow. Now, this would be one of my favorite things is I am a volunteer at heart. And I don't know where that came from, but ever since I got into court reporting, I've always looked for some way to help and something to do to help the industry. I didn't quite know what it was when I was in Florida. I didn't even know there was a Florida state association, a Florida Court Reporters Association when I was there. I was only there for 2 years and I was brand new. So, we're kind of clueless when we're first starting out. But when I got to Texas, it was that was just our culture. The culture was to get involved. And we started at our local level, actually. But I find it so important to do that because number one, you need to know what's going on. And the best way for you to know what's going on is to be on the inside. A lot of us as in court reporters have a whole lot of ideas and a whole lot of opinions about things and what should be done, how they should be done. But not enough of us are on the inside. I kind of equate it to you can't be a member of the Baptist church and over here in front of down the street at the Methodist church telling them what to do with the money that the church members have tithed. So we kind of need to pull together because there's so many of us have so many great ideas and we have so many talents that we could bring into the profession, but we're so busy being opinionated and so busy worried about, I don't want to pay my dues. I don't want to pay dues for this, that, or the other. We're so busy being negative that we're losing out on all the positive things that we could be doing together. And we need diversity, period. One word, diversity could change a whole lot of things. We really have to have that in our leadership because our industry is diverse. And when you're looking at for instance, me being a Black female, if I'm looking at a board of all white men, then that makes me feel some kind of way. That does not make me want to join that association or that organization. And so we need to be very diverse in all of our leadership so that all of our up and coming reporters will feel comfortable coming into these organizations and doing the good work with us and just pulling together to get things done.
Yes. Now, can you tell us which committees you have served on?
I've done just about all of them. Membership, official court reporters committee, student committee, annual convention committee. And I'm thinking, and I'm speaking right now strictly on the state level. I have not spread my wings as much with the National Court Reporters Association, but state-wise, I've pretty much hit all of them. Budget committee. Now, I didn't enjoy all of them, but that's how you learn, is by serving on all the different committees. If there's one that you really enjoy, start with that one and then just kind of spread out from there.
Do you have any encouraging words for those of us that are on the fence about serving?
Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Everybody is waiting on somebody else to do it, and sometimes you're that somebody. Sometimes you are the somebody and everybody has something to offer. We've all got different personalities and, different interests and things like that. But when we put all of that together and you've got everybody just kind of melding and working it out and brainstorming together, man, I've seen some committees that they just were flawless in their execution. because of the different makeup of the people in it, or because of one or two new people. It's the new blood that is needed. Make no mistake about that. It's the new blood that's needed. So just make sure that you're being open to helping out in some kind of way, and just do it. I mean, we all have time constraints. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. So that's not really an excuse. And when something is important, you make time for it.
This is true. What is your take on state and national conventions, and what are the benefits of attending and membership?
Well, let me start with membership, because that's going to be the most important, because I can say that I honestly believe that any organization that has been formed has been formed for the purpose of benefiting and advancing the profession. So any organization needs money, and the membership dues are what they basically run off of. You know, that's how they pay their bills. If they have staff, that's how they pay them. If they have a building, they have to pay the rent. They have to pay the light bill. So your dues are very, very important. So if you can do nothing else, start there by paying some membership dues, because otherwise everybody else is paying out of their pocket for you to benefit. And then as far as attendance, again, most of our conventions and whatnot are fundraisers for the organization. Now, when we get there, we look at it as, oh, this is fun, this is fun. But again, that organization has had to pay bills in order for you to have that event. So be sure that you support the event and give them feedback on the event. Now, I've always found that my state convention is the one that's most informative for me as far as my professional development, because that's where I live. Those are the rules that I have to follow, whatever state I'm living in. So I always tell everybody, you should always do that one. Now, I don't usually have to sit in on a whole lot of sessions, because I also do a lot of things locally. When my local association offers anything where I can get continuing education for an hour here and there, I just go to those and I just rack up those hours. And that way I can kind of be really flexible when I go to a convention. Now, when I go to my national convention, I'm just going to tell you, that's my social time. By the time I get to a national convention, I've got every hour that I need. I think I had, we have to renew our license in Texas every 2 years. We have to have 10 hours every 2 years, which is really nothing. I think I had 52 this last time I renewed. So I love going to things like that. You know, like I said, national is more of a social time for me. And I think that's just because everything has to be more general, because it's covering all of the states. And so, yeah, just give it a shot. If you've never been to one, give it a shot. If you don't like it, okay, but at least you gave it a shot, and just be sure you give your feedback. And that's how things get changed.
Now, at our state and national conventions, they hold speed and real-time contests in which you've placed and won, celebrated complete with a cartwheel. This is awesome. Can you share your experience in those?
I don't think I'm ever going to live down the cartwheels, but but I just tell you, I love to celebrate. I love to celebrate when I work for something and it turns out in my favor. I am going to celebrate. If they call my name, I am going to celebrate whether I won or not. But I can tell you that those contests are actually the reason why I originally started pursuing advanced certifications. For the speed contest, you have to be an RMR, a registered merit reporter, in order to even compete in those. So just in order to have a seat in the room, you have to have hit a certain level of skill. And so that was why I even went for that. I saw the speed trophy, the Texas Speed Cup is what we call it. I saw it in one of my firm owners' offices, and that was my first time even knowing about speed contests. And I asked her about it, and when I left there, I immediately went and started researching to find out what I needed to do to get one of those. And that's how that all started. So you just kind of, it's a different level. Once you get your merit, then that's the next thing. That's the next logical step, because you do want to keep increasing your speed and getting your skills better. And that's how you're going to do it, preparing for a speed test or a real-time test, or contest, I should say. preparing for those things are gonna just make you better. It's gonna continue to build you up, and we can all keep improving. I don't know of not one court reporter, whether they won a contest or not, I don't know not one who can't keep improving.
And just jot that down so I can win a speed contest one day. Now, do you still have a practice routine that you follow? Are you on your machine daily?
You know, right now, as of today, I am not on my machine daily. I have not been practicing lately, but I did just complete the 100-day challenge that was started by Rich Germison. I think I'm saying his name right, Germison. And it's where you practice for 15 minutes a day for 100 consecutive days. So I finally completed that. Honey, let me tell you, I had to take a break after that because I should have finished in 2020, and I didn't finish until the end of January 2021. So I had to start over many times. It was very intense. If you miss a day, you start back at one. And I did find, though, that it became a matter of pride for me. I was like, I'm not going to let this beat me. I am not going to let this beat me. It's only 15 minutes. You can do 15 minutes. But I found that it did make my writing better when I was, when we went in for our little short hearings. Like I told y'all, I hadn't been writing as much as I normally was. And I found that it was definitely a benefit. So I am going to go back and start and shoot for another 100-day, streak. So, but it just won't be today.
Kudos to you for hitting that streak, though. Now let's get into your nonprofit brainchild, Stenovator Pathway Solutions. What is SPS and why was it created?
Ooh, SPS, that is my baby, Stenovator Pathway Solutions. I think when I think about it now, I can only say it has been kind of churning and marinating in my head for probably about 3 or 4 years. As I've been volunteering, as I was volunteering on my state association. And it just seems like when you're volunteering with your associations, which we do all need to do, and you're at a higher level, as in sitting on the board for those associations, you get to see some of the inner workings of what's going on and how things come to pass, like how different events come to pass, how different decisions or programs come to pass. And a lot of times, a lot of good programming ends up on the cutting room floor, should we say, due to lack of either funds or bylaws restraints, or just changes in leadership where that's not the vision that's shared by the leadership at that time. And I can tell you that I've probably volunteered at least 20 years of my 26. Am I in my 26th year? I think I'm in my 26th, but about 20 years of that has been volunteer service, either on committees or in board service. And I could tell you that I was starting to get burned out not too long ago. And I needed to stop. I needed to come to a complete stop and say, no more, Kim, you need to take a break. It's getting out of hand. And when I did that, that's when I started getting clarity for Stenovator Pathway Solutions. And that's when things just started falling into place regarding that. And it's really been a challenge. It's been an exciting challenge. It's an exciting journey. But I can tell you, starting something from the ground up is not something that is for the faint of heart. The minutia involved in getting started is unbelievable, but it's something that I believe is going to be so beneficial to our industry. We are looking to uplift our new reporters and train our new reporters and our advanced students, our promising advanced students, I should say, those who have made it just about out the door. And so I'm just looking forward to what we're going to be able to do. And I've got a great board in place. Miss Kristine, you are on our board.
Hey.
I was so excited that you said yes. And one thing that I'm really proud about with our board is that I talked about diversity. I meant that. I talked about it. I meant it. When I say it, I'm going to walk it. I'm going to walk my talk. Okay. And we have not only court reporters or stenographers on the board, but we also have a judge. We have a businesswoman. We have an educator. And so since we're trying to connect the general public to stenography, like we're trying to get the general public just to know more about it. I know that's what we've all been doing, like with our recruitment and everything, but we're coming at it from a different angle. And we needed those people to help us see what the general public sees. And so I'm just excited about what we're going to be doing with that organization.
Now, SPS just had a party this past weekend. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. We had our first virtual Steno Jam. It was actually a Zoom dance party. And we were just so excited about all the people that showed up, the outpouring of support for that. It was actually our first fundraiser as well. And I say fun, F-U-N raiser, because we want to have fun. You don't have to, when you're getting money together for these nonprofits, it doesn't have to be something that's all boring. We can have fun with it. But we just had a great time. We had a live DJ. I think a lot of people did not know what to expect. And I think a great time was had by all. So, I was just so appreciative of everybody showing up, even though they didn't know really what to expect. They trusted us with that hour and a half of their life, because they could have been doing anything else. And, once you give up your time, you can't get it back. So I was so appreciative that everybody showed up. It was such a fun time. I'm really hoping that we can continue to do that in some form or fashion. It was a great way to bring people from all over the country together. And it was a great way for our students to network with each other, for our reporters from different parts of the country to network with each other. So I fully anticipate somebody's probably going to do another one before we do one, but that's okay. Duplication is the highest form of flattery, they say. So whatever we can do to just uplift the community, that's what we want to do.
Love that. Now, promoting and protecting this profession of stenography, you've done legislative training. Share your boot camp experience on a state and national level.
Whew, Lord, legislative training. Can I just say, since this is confessions, that is not my favorite thing to do. I will be perfectly honest, that is not my favorite thing to do, but it has to be done. And I put it off for quite some time. I had attended our state boot camp two or three times when we haven't had them a whole lot that I've been aware of, maybe 2 or 3 times. And I've always made it a point to attend those, but they've never been really enjoyable for me, simply because I've kind of had this mindset. This is totally my fault. I've had this mindset that I don't know if I'm the one that should be going in talking to our senators and our representatives. I don't know if that's me, but to tell you the truth, I've kind of had a total 180 about that. Every single person should be saying it is me that should be going in there talking to them, because they are people just like you, and they have so much of your future in their hands, and they need to hear from real live people. And when it comes to court reporting, they need to hear from the ones who are down in the trenches, and we need to not just have it be self-serving when we go in to talk to them, but we need to be able to help them relate to other people who benefit from our services. And there are people who love doing that type of thing. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they love it. But it is something that we all need to do. The trainings at the boot camp were just it was intense. The NCRA boot camp was really intense. And it's something that will change your perspective if you give it a chance. You get to meet a lot of other different reporters from different states and whatnot, but just going up to the Capitol and speaking on behalf of the profession, it gives you a sense of pride. We all need to be able to say something good about our profession. We all need that elevator speech, as they call it. If you're stuck in the elevator with somebody and they ask you out of the blue, what do? You need to be able to say what you do, and you need to be able to make them want to do what you do. That's called marketing. That's called advertising. That's called having them buy into what you're saying. And that's really what they were trying to help us do in that boot camp, is to be able to relate court reporting to basically the layman, because that's what those senators and that's what those Congress people are. They're laymen. They don't know what we do. So it's up to us to tell them.
Now, we hear this from outside of our profession all the time, especially students, from family members or naysayers. Do you believe AI will take over our profession?
Do I believe it? I'm not going to say I believe it, because if I believe it, that's speaking it into existence. Do I fear it? I do. And the reason I fear it is because there aren't enough of us who are willing to lay it all on the line for our profession. I fear that if it happens, it's going to be because of us, because we didn't do enough to protect ourselves. And that goes back to the whole volunteering and getting involved. There's, I don't know how many thousands of stenographers in the world. At this point, that number seems to go down, and we're trying to recruit and all that, but I don't know what the exact number is right now, but it's not enough of us that are involved. I can tell you that. So I'm not going to say I believe it, because I'm not going to speak it into existence, but I tell you that it is one of my worries. I won't lie about that, but I'll tell you this, I will fight to keep our profession at the top rather than artificial intelligence. So I don't know what anybody else is going to say about that, but I can tell you what Kim Xavier is going to say.
Okay. Now, all right, y'all. Hang tight, and we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Christopher Day again. Just wanted to take the time to share a little more about my blog at Stenonymous.com. Not only do I have factual reporting, but I also dive into matters of opinion or conclusions to be drawn from the facts. For example, maybe you saw online that an automatic speech recognition company raised millions of dollars and was set to disrupt the court reporting industry. One of my posts dives right in on that. If they had a product like that, we know it would be bought out, because industry giants have spent billions of dollars on far less impressive computer programs. That's just one of the ways we know they're not even close to what court reporters can do. If you like critical thinking and want to get a fresh perspective on topics like this, just make sure to check out Stenonymous.com. Have a great suggestion for my resource page? Write me at chris@Stenonymous.com. Together, we can build the industry and platform amazing content just like the podcast you're listening to now.
Kim, looking back over your career, are you proud of what you've accomplished within the profession?
I can honestly say I am extremely proud of me. My current self looks back to my past self, like I said before, and I just say, thank you, past self. Thank you. Thank you for the late nights. Thank you for sacrificing your time. Thank you for sacrificing your money. Thank you for hanging in there, because, so many of us, we get to that very top speed in school, and we don't push through. Whereas if we just keep going, we will have success. There's so many advanced students who never got certified. And I'm speaking about Texas right now, because that's all I know about. I remember seeing a list one time of all the students who graduated from one particular school, and literally graduated at 225 words per minute, but they're not on our CSR list for one reason or another. They took the exam one time, two times, three times. I don't care how many times it takes to take that exam, because the only people that I know who are not certified shorthand reporters to this day, but they were able to graduate, it's the ones that quit. So, I just have to look back at me and say, I'm glad you didn't quit. I want everybody to be able to look back at their past selves and say, I'm glad you didn't quit.
I think your past self will be very proud of you today, Kim.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Are there any changes that you would like to see today?
Definitely more involvement in our profession and more pride in our profession. I feel like we kind of go about life really, really quietly. It's almost like I don't want to talk about this profession all the time. I'm just going to talk about it during court reporting and capturing week, right? When everybody else is talking. But I don't want to talk about it just in general because they might realize I make a whole lot of money doing this. Somebody might have a problem with that, and that might mess me up. I feel like sometimes we're very quiet about what it is that we do because maybe there's a little bit of guilt because we do it so effortlessly, and maybe we feel like we don't deserve top dollar. Well, if anybody knows anything about me, y'all know I'm always talking about court reporting because I'm like, I did that, I earned that. Here's my girl, she did that, she earned that. Yep, here we are. You have to be very bold about this thing because that's the only way we're going to get more people into it, especially now. We have no excuse right now with social media. So more involvement, more pride, and more hyping ourselves up. That's what I would like to see.
Now we got some hype ones that are coming up right now. Are you proud of all of the young professionals that are adding value to the profession?
Oh man, I am so proud. I just look at and I'm going to say youngsters because I had to go on and have a 50th birthday a couple of years ago. So I'm going to say youngsters. I'm so proud of the younger people, the younger generation, because, I know it's not an easy thing to complete our programs now because they have a whole lot more distractions than we had back in the day. But I'm so proud of those who are really digging in and they're drinking the juice. They're promoting court reporting just like people are promoting those Nikes and promoting, this Louis Vuitton bag and promoting all these different things, but you're not promoting what's going to pay you. So I am so proud of everyone who's doing that.
And what message do you have for this new generation of youngsters coming up?
I'd have to say, don't let the vets intimidate you, because I've met a few who I believe have a whole lot of promise, but they let other people intimidate them, people who maybe have a few more years of experience on them. And I can just say that most people who will criticize you for what you're doing or the way you're doing something, they're doing that because they can't do it the way you're doing it. So don't let the vets intimidate you. Learn from the vets, learn how to take, even if it's criticism that doesn't sound so constructive, see if you can take from those words something that you can use. Learn not to shut down when somebody says something that you don't like. Because at the end of the day, people who have been around for a long time, they do feel like they know everything, some of them, and they're going to act that way and they're going to come off that way. And they may have some information that could be helpful to you. So learn how to take what you need from what people are saying and don't feel like you need to go somewhere and hide, because you don't. We need, like I said, we need the new blood. The new blood is where it is, as just like your body, when the blood runs through your veins, it's got to go back up through the body and rejuvenate itself, reoxygenate. So our industry is the same. We have to be reoxygenated, and that is our new generation.
That's real good advice. We really appreciate that. Now, do you have any words to live by or quotes that you would like to share?
Yep. Live full and die empty. That just means, you got to leave it out. When you're dead, you're dead. When you're in the ground and 6 feet under, that's where, if you haven't done something with your life, that's where it stops. We should all live in a way that we're going to leave a legacy. We're doing everything we can while we're here right now, and doing those things that are helpful to others, and it's going to help bring others along. And by doing that, that's how we live full, when you're helping others and you're leaving a legacy.
Now, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do outside of stenography?
Ooh, I like to read. I don't get to read that often for pleasure anymore. I normally, these days, I have some spiritual reading I do daily. I have some leadership reading I do daily, but my secret pleasure is romance novels. I haven't gotten to read a whole in a long time. Ooh, yeah, girl. I love me a good romance novel because I like a happy ending, and I love the ones that are series where the characters, you see the same characters in all the books. But other than that, I'd have to say dancing. I actually took some swing out classes a few years ago, and I haven't been dancing in a while because of COVID. And that's like hand dancing, partner dancing, and I love karaoke.
What are the two things you are looking forward to after the pandemic?
Travel and more travel, period.
I feel that. Any closing words that you would like to add?
I'd just like to encourage any and every stenographer within the hearing of my voice, just keep pushing. Don't let yourself get complacent. 225 words per minute, that is entry level. That is where we start. That's not where we end. We talked about certifications in the beginning, and I really think that certifications are going to be the one thing that truly sets us apart from that artificial intelligence we were talking about. And like I said, a certification is only going to make you better. That's all it's going to do. It's going to make you better, even if it takes you years to get it. I mean, I started reporting in 94. I got my last certification in 2017. And so I've been evolving. I've made sure that I'm constantly working towards something that makes me better. And at the end of the day, we are judged by the least of us. And if the least of us is a merit writer, then let it be so. All right, let's set that bar right there.
That's a beautiful closing thought. Thank you very much, Kim. I would like to thank everyone that took the time to check out this Steno podcast. You are appreciated. This platform was designed just for you and to add value to our profession. Please stay safe, encouraged, and motivated.